My boyfriend came home drunk and looked at my cartoon pajamas with disdain. Aren't you in your 20s already? Can you stop wearing such childish things? My 5-born junior wears lace camisoles. Learn from her and be more feminine. Okay. I looked at this man I've loved for over a decade. Without arguing or making a scene, I helped him to bed and made him sobering soup. The next day, I saw him off as usual. Then I took out the suitcase, closed the door, and left, never to return again. Hello. Everyone, welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. Good news, after being a doormat for my ex for over a decade, I finally came to my senses and broke up with him. The bad news is, we're not just exes, we're childhood friends. And our families still have to eat together during New Year's. Luckily we'd agreed to keep our relationship secret from our families, otherwise things would have been awkward for both households if we broke up. Little did I know that would become a self-fulfilling prophecy. His mother wrapped his head with chopsticks, fuming with frustration. You're already 28 and still don't know how to bring a girlfriend home. In 2 more years you'll be 30, when am I ever going to hold a grandchild? Kelsey lazily picked at his food. Dated too many, not sure which one to bring back. You'll just have to wait. What kind of nonsense is that? Kelsey's mother glared, then turned to me. Martina. This little bastard runs wild like an untamed dog all day. You're the only one who can keep him in check. Help me talk some sense into him. By the way, Martina, do you have a boyfriend? I was about to speak when Kelsey laughed, giving me a sidelong glance before scoffing lightly. How could that be? Who would take a fancy to such a wooden woman? Just wait, if I still haven't met the right one by 30, maybe I'll settle for her. Kelsey's mom looked slightly embarrassed and gave him a firm slap. What nonsense are you talking about? Martina is wonderful, pretty and gentle. She must have plenty of admirers. Are you even good enough for her? My mom didn't mind either. We'd grown up together since childhood, and roughhousing was nothing new between us. Her eyes lit up as she exclaimed, "My Martina has really made me proud. She actually brought someone home the other day. Span tall, handsome as a celebrity, and so diligent. On his very first visit, he insisted on doing the dishes. We couldn't even stop him." Span, when Lance was mentioned, the smile on her face couldn't be hidden, and just as she was about to continue speaking, the doorbell suddenly rang. My dad got up to answer the door. Lance stood at the entrance with a beaming smile, holding a pile of things, and said politely, "Uncle and Auntie, Happy New Year. I hope I'm not intruding by coming unannounced." My mom couldn't stop grinning. "Don't be silly. Come on in, Lance. You shouldn't have brought so many things just for visiting." Lance sat on the sofa while my mom hurriedly served tea and snacks, urging him to have some fruit. I was startled and whispered, "What are you doing here? Aren't you going home for New Year's?" Lance glanced at me and said somewhat gloomily, "My parents went to Antarctica for vacation. No one's spending New Year's with me. Are you not welcoming me?" Auntie said before that I was welcome to visit. Was I not supposed to take that seriously? He glanced up at Kelsey, whose face had darkened to the point of dripping gloom, then tilted his head politely. "Am I disturbing you?" The two men's gazes collided midair. Even I could see the explosive sparks flying. My mom gave me a hard slap, then lovingly stuffed the orange into Lance's hand. "Don't listen to her nonsense. Auntie has been looking forward to your visit and welcomes you specially. Have dinner at our place tonight. Is that okay?" Lance looked at me. I really don't understand how a grown man can be such a green tea, pretending to be innocent, but I had no choice but to nod. He smiled. "Then we'll be imposing. Thank you, Auntie." Kelsey, seeing that guests had arrived. My parents decided not to linger. They finished their meal and took their leave. Kelsey, however, stayed behind. Lance insisted on helping my mom in the kitchen, making her beam with delight. Watching the somewhat chaotic scene unfold, I headed upstairs to my room for a short rest. Just as I placed my hand on the bedroom doorknob, a tremendous force suddenly pushed me from behind, shoving me inside. Then, my wrist was grabbed, and I was pinned against the wall. Kelsey's tall frame cast a shadow over me as he stared down with an inscrutable gaze. "Quite the achievement, Martina. It's only been a few days, and you've already hooked up with someone. Already at the meet the parents stage. Should I start preparing a red envelope? Where should I sit at the wedding, the ex-boyfriend table or the friends table?" He grew angrier as he spoke, gritting his teeth and saying, "Are you really with him now?" I pressed my hands against his chest, looked up calmly, and said, "It's none of your business, Kelsey. We've already broken up." On the day Kelsey and I broke up, it was our 3-year anniversary. The night before, he had just been brought home drunk by his friends. He could barely stand straight, yet still buried his head in my shoulder to act coquettish. "Wifey, I missed you so much. Give me a kiss, okay?" Before his alcohol-tinged lips could reach me, he collapsed completely, his clothes riding up to reveal well-defined abs and a striking Adonis belt. Kelsey was the classic case of looking lean in clothes but packing serious muscle underneath, not to mention being a towering 188 centimeters man who weighed a ton. I used every ounce of strength I had to haul him onto the bed. He moaned with his eyes closed, his thin eyelids flushed pink from drinking. "Honey, I feel awful. I want to drink the hangover soup you make." I sighed and was about to head to the kitchen when he suddenly grabbed the hem of my pajamas. He lifted his eyelids to glance at me, then suddenly chuckled. "Martina, how old are you still wearing cartoon pajamas like these?" I looked down at this pajama set. It was something I'd bought at the mall earlier, featuring Crayon Shin-chan. At the time, I thought it was adorable and got matching couples sets, but Kelsey never wore hers. Kelsey let go of the fabric with a look of disdain, squinting as she said, "Aren't you a little old for this childish stuff? You're well past 20, my junior born after 2005 is already wearing lace camisoles. Why don't you learn from her and be more feminine?" I was stunned. Kelsey didn't seem to realize what she had said, frowning and mumbling. She turned over and fell sound asleep. I stood there for a moment before picking up the phone he'd left by the pillow. The passcode was still my birthday, it had never changed. I took a deep breath and tapped open WeChat with slightly trembling fingers. His friends' group chat was flooded with videos, dim, flickering lights in the nightclub, the music deafening. Several men had strikingly beautiful girls clinging to them, clearly intoxicated, their smiles syrupy as they leaned in, boneless and languid. Kelsey was next to a girl with influencer-level beauty, pink curly hair, a tight black mini dress, and a figure to envy. She raised her glass and looked at Kelsey. "Brother, dare to have another drink with me?" Kelsey curled his lips. "What's there to fear? I didn't mean drinking like this." The girl smiled, holding the wine in her mouth before turning to look at Kelsey, her eyes like hooks, both provocative and alluring. Kelsey stared at her for 3 seconds, then suddenly grabbed the back of her neck and kissed her. The honey-colored liquor trickled down the corners of their lips as everyone in the booth erupted into wild cheers. The video ended there, pausing automatically when it finished playing. I stared at the screen, suddenly feeling my mind go completely blank. After a long while, I got up and went to the kitchen, rummaging for dried tangerine peel and honey, 50g dried tangerine peel, 5g wolfberries, 5g hawthorn, 5g black mulberries, 2 spoonfuls of honey, pour in clean water. I methodically poured the ingredients into the small pot and turned on the heat. I felt as if I'd never been this calm before, as though only an empty shell stood here now while my soul had been extracted, hovering high above and watching myself coldly. I stood there perfectly still until the water boiled. When I lifted the pot, my hand suddenly trembled, the pot overturned, and boiling water splashed directly onto my forearm. It's strange in this moment. The pain seems to have transformed. My brain clearly tells me I should be hurting. Yet the sensation of pain can't seem to transmit back to my brain anymore. That burning, unbearable feeling, I don't know what to call it now. I set the pot down, run my arm under the cold tap. Then carry the last cup of hangover soup to Kelsey's bedside. He was already fast asleep, and didn't wake up no matter how many times I shook him. Not even the sound of his phone notifications could rouse him. I picked up the phone. The girl who just kissed him in the video had sent a voice message. Her profile picture showing her own face. "Good night, big brother." Her voice was pleasant, sweet and delicate, with a hint of intoxicating allure. I scrolled up a bit. There weren't many chat records. Just a few messages. "Big bro, I had so much fun tonight. Want to go out for drinks again tomorrow? I know a great spot." Kelsey replied with a sticker. "Okay." Scrolling further down, another girl with a kitten avatar had sent him a message. "Senior, thank you so much for your help before I finally finished my project. Cheers and celebration. Are you free this week? Let me treat you to a meal to repay you. Senior, how about coming to my place again? I'll even make those butter cookies you said you liked last time." "Okay." Cute JPG. Scrolling further down, there are all kinds of girls, so many I can't even count them all. The night is deep, and through the thin gauze curtains, moonlight falls on Kelsey's face. I've always felt that my unwavering devotion to Kelsey all these years has a lot to do with his face, with features that clearly boasted deep-set brows and a somewhat rebellious look. He was inexplicably blessed with peach blossom eyes. Those upturned corners held an indescribable allure when lifted, a face born for romance. I gently traced my fingers along the ridge of his brow. Kelsey frowned slightly and whispered, "Stop fooling around." Then he grabbed my hand and held it, reflexively kissing the back of it. A trace of unremoved lipstick still lingered at the corner of his lips, smudging onto the back of my hand. I paused for a moment. The next second, I abruptly pulled my hand away and ran to the bathroom, vomiting until the world spun. That night, I lay in the guest room, unable to sleep. At 2:30 in the morning, the occasional sound of passing vehicles outside the window was much clearer than during the day. their noisy passage drumming against my eardrums again and again. Actually, this wasn't the first time I'd caught Kelsey cheating. Kelsey was naturally playful, and before being with me, none of her relationships lasted longer than 3 months. After we got together, everyone joked about how impressive I was for making a player settle down, only I knew that Kelsey's playful nature couldn't be changed. In the first year of our relationship, I caught her flirting with a junior for the first time. He knelt on the ground apologizing, begging me not to leave, saying he was just momentarily carried away and didn't actually like that junior girl that much, swearing he would never do it again. Then the next year, I found a silicone breast pad in his car, no idea who left it there. Same old routine, admitting fault, apologizing, swearing never to do it again. I looked at Kelsey, pleading for my forgiveness. After all these years of indulgence, his eyes remained completely unclouded, as clear as when I first met him. The first time I saw Kelsey was when I was 15. At that time, my parents suddenly hit a business opportunity and our family's assets multiplied 100-fold within a single year. Finally having some free time, they brought me back from the countryside. Due to my heart condition, I rarely participated in group activities since childhood, developing an introverted personality with almost no friends. On top of that, it was my first time in a big city, where I stood out awkwardly among the fashionable urban kids. I couldn't even speak Mandarin properly when I introduced myself on the podium using dialect. It provoked roaring laughter. Because of my illness, nobody dared to bully me, but nobody approached me either. I became invisible. My parents were busy with work and rarely had time to spend with me, so most of the time I had to endure the silence alone. To be fair, my parents treated me well. They left me in our hometown initially because they had to work elsewhere to earn money for my surgery. They truly didn't have time to take care of me. Even with my condition, they never considered having another child and never gave up on me. I knew they poured all their love into me, but the unfamiliar environment left me lost. During that time, I missed the countryside terribly. I ate less and less, my grades worsened, and I grew increasingly withdrawn. By the time my mother noticed the scars on my arm and took me to the hospital, I had already been diagnosed with severe depression. My mother was stunned and immediately quit her job to take care of me full-time at home. My mom and Kelsey's mother were good friends. After learning about my situation, his mother warmly brought Kelsey to our house, asking him to keep me company and take good care of me from then on. And just like that, I gained my first friend. Kelsey was the kind of person who naturally became the center of attention, good-looking, academically brilliant, socially adept. And from a wealthy family, if he wanted, he could effortlessly befriend anyone. He'd stand up for me when others bullied me, and sneak through my window at night to take me out to play. Everyone else treated me with cautious care, afraid of triggering my episodes. Only he would spread his arms beneath my window and shout, "Jump down, don't be afraid, Martina, I'll catch you." After school, he secretly taught me how to ride a bike, tricking me into thinking he was still holding the back seat. When I turned around, I found him grinning mischievously and waving at me. "Clever Martina, you've got it now." He took me swimming in the sea at dusk, holding my hand tightly with a smile that crinkled his eyes. "Don't worry, I've got you." In the first 15 years of my life, I had never met someone like Kelsey, who was like a beam of light, illuminating my barren and empty existence. He never minded my silence, introversion, or dullness. He saved me. He was my family, my friend. The object of my secret affection, the sole outlet for all my fervent emotions. Chasing after him has become an instinct in my life. To get into the same university as him, I burned the midnight oil throughout my entire senior year of high school. During the holiday after the college entrance exams, I underwent surgery, and my heart condition improved. I finally mustered the courage to confess my feelings to Kelsey, that very same evening. Kelsey got together with the most popular girl in the dance department. Although they broke up soon after, he immediately started dating the most popular girl in the foreign languages department. Kelsey was born to be in the spotlight. He always had so many admirers, so many friends. He was my everything. Yet in his life, I might have been nothing more than a slightly larger speck of dust. Whenever he was in a relationship, I would keep my distance from him. He keeps coming back to me after every breakup. This agony and ecstasy keep pulling at my frayed nerves. I know it's wrong, yet he's like the oxygen sustaining my breath. I can't leave him. The mere thought tears me apart, like a moth to flame, though knowing the fire will shatter me. I can't resist drawing near. The only warmth I have, being with Kelsey, was because of an accident. It happened when I was mentoring a new intern at work. After a few months of working together, he suddenly gave me a bouquet of roses and confessed his feelings as I was leaving work one day. Just as I was at a loss, Kelsey strode over, wrapped an arm around my shoulders with a dark expression, and raised an eyebrow at the male intern. "Sorry, you're too late. She already has a boyfriend. After the intern left, I finally processed what had happened and frowned. Why did you say that? Kelsey gave me a sidelong glance. Martina. That's not right, liking me while stringing along that poor boy. Liking someone is impossible to hide. I knew he was aware of my feelings, yet neither of us ever spoke it aloud, maintaining this unspoken understanding between friends. At that moment, my face still flushed crimson, words failing me. Just as I was about to retort, he cut me off. To this day, I remember how the sunset that evening was a dreamy shade of pink and purple, beautiful as a fantasy. Kelsey stood backlit as he looked at me. The sunset glow draping over him, those eyes of his, the kind that could look tenderly even at a dog, were impossibly gentle. He lit a cigarette, the smoke dissipating into the sunset. He turned his head and smiled at me, as if asking what we should eat for dinner, casually saying, Martina, maybe we should try being together. I don't know Kelsey's real reason for being with me, whether it's out of genuine affection or just a passing whim. I never asked, and he never brought it up. But to be fair, aside from being a bit of a playboy, Kelsey is actually quite a decent boyfriend. He's very generous, remembering every anniversary and carefully selecting expensive yet exquisite gifts. He's great at showing his worth, knocking on my door late at night during rainstorms just to hold me tightly in my pajamas. I heard thunder just now. I came because I was afraid you'd be scared. During my period, he'd fluster about making brown sugar ginger tea, then rub my belly while coaxing me to sleep. Not to mention he's wealthy and handsome. He's really quite presentable. Every time we go out together, I feel incredibly proud, but there are just too many girls who like him, even if we're out shopping and I just step away to buy coffee. By the time I return, there'll already be 2 girls asking for his contact information, right in front of me. Kelsey would flatly refuse, yet I'd still find friend requests on his WeChat when we got home. It seems to be in a Gemini's nature to be fickle. He never refuses, nor does he want to. I believe he loves me too, just not enough to make him give up chasing novelty. When I was with him, I often couldn't sleep at night, tossing and turning in bed. Anxiety and pain gnawed at my heart, leaving me in unbearable agony. I could only keep comforting myself. He just likes to have fun. He wouldn't really betray me. How laughable. I still remember later when a friend advised him, you should really tone it down. Martina truly loves you. Don't wait until you've actually driven her away, then you'll really be in trouble. Kelsey confidently replied, she won't leave me. She can't live without me. Yes, he really understands me well. It was I who handed him the vulnerability named love, and all he learned was to use it to hurt me. Happiness and pain keep tugging at each other, and every forgiveness consumes my love for him. I look out the window at the faint morning light, where a sliver of fishbelly white appears on the horizon. Dawn broke. This love has now completely worn out, leaving me with no strength left to continue walking this path with him. Early the next morning, as I was making breakfast, Kelsey hugged me from behind, his voice tinged with guilt. Last night, I didn't say anything I shouldn't have, did I? I shook my head. Kelsey quickly put his mind at ease and planted a kiss behind my ear. As usual, we parted ways at the door when going to work. He waved at me. See you later. Babe, wait for me tonight. In the past when we fought, I would threaten to break up, smashing everything breakable in the house, swearing hysterically amid the chaos that we'd never see each other again. But this time, I just smiled calmly. It was a bright, clear autumn day. With the sky exceptionally high and blue, I submitted my resignation online and bought a plane ticket home. Then I packed my things and pulled up the handle of my suitcase. I left Kelsey's place. When I went to the office to submit my resignation, the hardest part was saying goodbye to my work buddy. He looked utterly devastated, his eyes red as he grabbed the hem of my shirt. How am I supposed to live without you? I patted Lance on the head. Daddy's leaving now. Take good care of yourself from now on. Lance was genuinely distressed, too overwhelmed to even get angry at me for taking advantage of the situation, and urgently asked, no, seriously, why are you leaving? Did another company poach you? Or do you think the salary is too low, the benefits aren't enough, or some manager has been bullying you? Say something. I shook my head and hesitated for a moment before answering truthfully. The company is actually great, with kind colleagues and excellent pay. It's just that I've always been a homebody. And after breaking up with Kelsey, I lost my reason to stay here. Suddenly, I just really wanted to go home. Lance wiped his face, his expression turning complicated. I've always thought you should break up with that idiot boyfriend of yours. It's for the best. Your good fortune is still ahead. You said your hometown is in N City. I nodded. Lance paused to think. In that case, there's no need to rush into resigning. I heard our company is just about to open a branch in N City. We can arrange for headquarters to transfer you there when the time comes. I eyed him skeptically. Really? How could it be such a coincidence? Of course it's true. Don't you trust my sources? I glanced at Lance, his long lashes fluttering, eyes brimming with sincerity. This guy is from the HR department and has often given me reliable insider information before. This time shouldn't be any different. I immediately cheered up. Thanks a lot, dinner's on me tonight. Since we won't be seeing each other anymore, I'll treat you to something nice tonight. Lance rubbed his nose and quickly smiled again. Then I'll have to make you pay through the nose. Getting to know Lance was actually quite a coincidence. It all started when I noticed the small cakes I kept in the office fridge kept mysteriously disappearing. After losing my little cakes for several days in a row, I was fuming and decided to stake out this never-ending thief that day. I stayed at the office until past 10 o'clock and finally saw a tall figure walk up to the fridge, open the door, take out the animal cream cake I had carefully made, then expertly unwrap it and stuff it into their mouth with satisfaction. Furious, I stormed out and asked, barely containing my anger, "Is this cake yours? How dare you just eat it?" The man turned back in surprise, a smear of white cream still clinging to the corner of his mouth. "What's wrong?" Under the light. His face suddenly filled my vision, and all the accusations I'd prepared vanished from my mind. It was a new face I hadn't seen before, young, probably a new intern or colleague, but none of that mattered. What mattered was that he was ridiculously good-looking. Not only does he have an enviable physique with well-defined pecs straining against his white shirt, but he also boasts that classic broad-shouldered, narrow-waisted inverted triangle silhouette. His legs are so long they practically reach my waist. What matters most is that face of his, deep-set eyes and striking features with not a trace of femininity. It's a naturally sharp, imposing look, yet those full lips perfectly temper the severity with a hint of sex appeal. With such a dashing appearance, how could he stoop to stealing someone's little cake? That was something I painstakingly baked myself, using only the finest and most expensive ingredients. For the sake of this face, I barely maintained my politeness and pointed at the cake in his hand. "This is my cake, it's been eaten for 4 days straight." The man froze at first, then his face suddenly flushed red. He seemed torn between spitting out the cake in his mouth, thinking it improper, and swallowing it, only to end up choking. Rolling his eyes, he stretched his hand toward me. "Help." 2 minutes later, I was helping this cake thief sit on a chair to drink water while patting his back, terrified that he might actually choke to death on that bite of cake, because then I'd really be in trouble. The man coughed a few times, his ears growing redder by the second. "Sorry, I really didn't know you brought that yourself. I thought it was the company's treat for overtime workers." He glanced up at me briefly before quickly lowering his head again. "I'm really sorry, I'll pay you back." I sighed helplessly. "Even if it's a company benefit, you don't have to come eat here every single day without fail." His face turned even redder as he whispered, "Because it's really delicious. This is what I look forward to most every workday." Sigh. Since they sincerely apologized and offered compensation, I couldn't keep arguing. To ease the awkwardness, I cleared my throat and asked, "Haven't seen you before. Are you new here?" The man glanced at me, seemingly thinking, then nodded after 2 seconds. I haven't seen you before either. Are you from the design department, working so late?" He paused. "Or did you wait here specifically to catch me?" My face flushed as I declared righteously, "Of course I'm working overtime. Catching you was just a bonus." That evening as I was leaving, the man couldn't help but call out to stop me. That cake was really delicious. Which shop did you buy it from?" I glanced at him. "I made it myself." "Oh." The sparkle in his eyes instantly dimmed. After that, I often ran into him when working overtime. As time passed, we gradually became familiar with each other. I learned his name was Lance, a colleague recently transferred to the HR department. To make up for those few pieces of cake, he treated me to milk tea for several days in a row. After we got closer, I started bringing him a portion whenever I brought cake. During overtime, he would move his computer to work alongside me. We'd complain about our idiot boss while gossiping about company affairs. Several times Lance asked me out for meals and movies, but I only saw him as a work companion and turned him down every time. Now that I'm leaving, I genuinely feel somewhat reluctant to go. After dinner that night, Lance drove me to the airport. I waved at him. "Goodbye, Lance. May you get promotions and raises soon, and become the company's CEO someday. I'm off now, maybe we'll meet again someday." Lance waved with a smile. "Yeah, we'll meet again." Lance's information was accurate. I received the transfer order from the new company the very next day after landing. I simply took my annual leave first, planning to relax for a while before returning to work. Kelsey noticed my departure that very night. About the breakup, he didn't give me an answer over the phone, saying we needed to talk in person. The next day, he returned to our hometown, and we met at a restaurant. Kelsey rubbed his temples, softening his expression. "I know you've been wronged." He held my hand and said helplessly, "I was just drunk that day. and they were egging me on. Honestly, I didn't mean anything with that woman, it was just acting for the occasion. I promise it won't happen again. Forgive me one last time, okay? I looked calmly at Kelsey. One last time, I've lost count of how many times I've heard that. Hearing it repeated over and over again, I've started to feel nauseous at the mere thought of it now. I know he won't change. He knows he won't change either. What's called reconciliation may seem like his idea, but every time, it's me who compromises. The one who loves more always has to compromise. I shook my head and whispered, Kelsey, you're not ready for a stable, long-term relationship yet. Try again, and 100 more times would be the same. I was serious, but Kelsey brushed it off, shaking my hand with a giggle. This time is really different. I know I was wrong. Forgive me one more time. My love, I'll make it up to you. I gently withdrew my hand. No, strangely enough, I've never felt this calm before. I thought when we met again, I would be furious, heartbroken, and demand to know why he hurt me over and over again. But now I realize, I actually have nothing left to say. I gave everything to this relationship. Though it didn't end well, I have no regrets. I have nothing to be sad about. The one who should be sad is Kelsey. He doesn't know how to love. He lacks the capacity to love. He may be wealthy, handsome, and charismatic, but perhaps for his entire life, he'll never meet someone as genuine to him as I was. Breaking up is his loss, not mine. Kelsey pleaded a few more times, but seeing my unwavering stance, his expression gradually changed. Suppressing the impatience in his eyes, he slightly raised an eyebrow. Martina, you don't really think I can't live without you, do you? I've never felt this way before, he scoffed. Fine, I was actually getting a bit tired of it anyway. I was worried about hurting you before, but now it's perfect timing. Breaking up is no big deal. It's not like I can't find someone else. His eyes darkened, yet he forced an air of indifference, smiling as he said, so after we break up, we can still be friends, right? I was about to speak when he stood up, hands in his pockets, and said casually, we've been childhood friends after all. It's not bad to go back to that. You can still come to me if anything happens later, and if you find another boyfriend, bring him to me so I can vet him for you, save you from running into another jerk like me. If we can't be lovers, we can still be friends. I didn't say anything. He just waved at me and walked out the door, without even a backward glance, as if those 3 years together meant nothing to him. The breakup with Kelsey was unexpectedly smooth. He never bothered me again after that. Maybe he was right, the constraints of a long-term relationship had become unbearable for him, and this separation came at just the right time. We reverted to being friends, and he kept insisting on setting me up with someone, though in the end he never actually introduced me to anyone. I still felt somewhat awkward, so I delayed replying to every message he sent, or simply didn't respond at all. I'm not the type who can stay friends after a breakup. He probably understood my meaning, and as time passed, he gradually stopped reaching out to me. I finished my annual leave and started working at the new company. I never expected the first person I'd see would leave me stunned. What are you staring at? I know I'm handsome, but could you at least try to be a little reserved? I closed and opened my eyes. Lance, what are you doing here? Lance grinned. The new company needs HR too. I couldn't bear to lose my work partner, so I applied for a transfer here. This is the workstation I arranged for you, facing south with great sunlight exposure. How about it? I've got your back, right? I looked at my workstation, where my nameplate stood alongside several plump, adorable succulents huddled together, glowing translucently under the sunlight. I couldn't believe it. You really came here for me. Lance glanced at me and suddenly laughed. How could that be? I'm obviously here for the promotion, always being held back by management over there. Now that we're expanding into new markets, it's finally my turn to lead, right? I breathed a sigh of relief. You scared me to death. Lance reached out and touched my head, the corners of his lips curling slightly upward. On my first day at the company, I thought there wouldn't be much work, but unexpectedly, I was assigned 2 urgent tasks that needed to be completed within 3 days. It wasn't until a muffled thunderclap exploded outside the window that I realized it was raining. A purple lightning bolt streaked across the sky, and glancing at my phone, I saw it was already past 9 in the evening. I stood at the company entrance feeling a bit troubled. My parents and friends had gone out together and probably wouldn't be back anytime soon. The heavy rain made it difficult to hail a cab, just as I was debating whether to tough it out at the office overnight. I heard the sound of an umbrella opening behind me, then shadows fell over my head, and I turned to see Lance in a white shirt with sleeves rolled up to his forearms, draped in his black suit. Where to? I'll give you a ride. I was both surprised and delighted. Why haven't you left either? He glanced at his watch. Just got here on the first day. Too much work. Stayed late for overtime. Under the light. I glanced at his watch. A black Richard Mille tourbillon. The same one I'd accompanied Kelsey to look at before. If I remember correctly, One set is worth an apartment in a first-tier city. How could an ordinary HR employee afford such an expensive watch? But I didn't pay much attention to it. It must be fake, after all. Who would casually wear the equivalent of an apartment on their wrist? The rain grew heavier. Lance dropped me off at the entrance of my building, and I casually asked, "Thanks, would you like to come up for some tea?" Truthfully, I was just being polite, but Lance seemed to miss the hint and bluntly replied, "No need for tea, it'll keep me awake at night. I'm a bit hungry. Do you still have any cupcakes at your place?" "We don't have cupcakes here, only instant noodles. But I'm quite skilled at cooking instant noodles using a small iron pot, first adding the seasoning packet when the water boils, then putting in the noodle block, beat an egg and scramble it after 3 minutes. Then add the fatty beef after another minute, and finally crack an egg to make a soft-boiled poached egg. Absolutely delicious." Lance held a big bowl, slurping for a long time before finally looking up, his mouth full of noodles, and could only give a thumbs up. After the meal, he volunteered to do the dishes. I leaned against the door frame watching him wash them. The small apron at home was a bit too tight for him, stretched out by his chest muscles, cinched at the waist, and then accentuating the curve of his perky buttocks. I cursed myself inwardly for being single too long. It's not like I'd never seen a man's ass before, yet I still found it tantalizing. "Help me untie this," he said, having finished washing the dishes while I was lost in thought. He stood before me. "The apron's too tight." I don't know how he tied the knot, but after struggling to undo it behind his back for ages, I was about to speak Lance when he turned around. "Done yet?" I'd already leaned in close while trying to untie it, and when he suddenly turned, we were practically pressed against each other. Before me lay his pectoral muscles, a faint woody fragrance mingled with a hint of damp moisture emanating from Lance's white shirt. His slender hands, with distinct knuckles, were still dripping wet. The sound of rain seemed to fade away, then suddenly intensified. For some reason, we both remained frozen in this position, neither yielding way. I looked up. Water droplets from his earlier dishwashing still clung to his face. As he tilted his head slightly, a glistening bead trembled and fell onto my cheek. I blinked, sensing the woody fragrance growing stronger in my dazed state. The heat drew closer to me. The next second, the sound came from the doorway. My mother's voice boomed unceremoniously. "You're back. This damn rain's so heavy the wipers can barely keep up." She stared at me and Lance standing practically glued together, her eyes bulging like a frog's. 10 minutes later, my mom sat on the sofa cradling a cup of tea, interrogating Lance about his entire family lineage. I wanted to stop her, but Lance obediently answered everything, from what his parents did for a living to having no prior romantic experience. After learning he was 3 years younger than me, my mom's look towards me changed. I couldn't tell if it was reproach for the pig that ruined the cabbage or admiration. My mom grew even more affectionate towards Lance. "Come visit more often in the future. Since you and Martina are close, please take good care of her." I frowned, wanting to say we were just colleagues, Lance, but he cheerfully agreed with a smile. "Sure, Auntie, leave it all to me." Within less than an hour, my mom had completely warmed up to Lance. He charmed her so much she was practically grinning from ear to ear. In my mom's eyes, I could clearly read one thought: a mother-in-law scrutinizing her future son-in-law. The more she looks, the fonder she grows. After seeing Lance off, I was somewhat helplessly thinking about how to explain it to my mom when my phone suddenly rang. It was Kelsey's brother calling. "Martina, you finally picked up," he said worriedly. "Kelsey's drunk and keeps calling for you. We can't drag him away no matter what. Come get him right away." I remained silent for a moment before speaking softly. "We've already broken up." His brother seemed unaware of our breakup, appearing both startled and awkward. Sorry about that, Martina. We won't trouble you then. We'll figure something out." After hanging up, I absent-mindedly scrolled through my social media feed. I had added quite a few of Kelsey's friends before, and one of them posted a video of them going out for drinks today. It was still the same lively and noisy bar, with playboys all holding beautiful girls in their arms. Only Kelsey sat alone with no one by his side, keeping his head down and drinking in solitude. When a girl approached to strike up a conversation, those once charming peach blossom eyes of his no longer held any tenderness. He coldly raised his gaze and spoke in an icy tone, "Get lost." The girl flushed red and could only slink away in embarrassment. How odd this was rare for him to be so heartless toward a girl. I glanced over a few times and was about to turn upstairs when my phone rang again. This time it's Kelsey. His voice was drunken, tinged with a hint of grievance. "Martina, why did you break up with me?" His throat tightened. "Don't you love me anymore?" I froze for a moment. Before this, Kelsey had been so nonchalant about the breakup that I thought he genuinely didn't care. Never expected him to call me when he got drunk. "Can you come pick me up?" He paused briefly, softening his voice. "I miss you so much." I really, really miss you. I've known since long ago that Kelsey has a way with girls. He's exceptionally good at acting cute and begging for mercy when he plays the vulnerable card. Even the hardest hearts can't help but soften. The moonlight spilled coolly across the ground, and suddenly a random thought popped into my head. When he's being ambiguous with other girls, does he treat them the same way too? The moment this thought arose, a nauseating stickiness spread through my internal organs. I closed my eyes and abruptly hung up the phone. He didn't call back. That night, I got up in the middle of my sleep, half awake. I somehow turned on the home surveillance camera while fumbling with my phone. I glanced at it. In the vast, empty, and pitch-black living room, Kelsey wore the Shin-chan pajamas he always despised. Clutching my forgotten pajamas in his hand, a man silently smokes in the darkness of night. The orange glow at his fingertips flickers, the coffee table littered with cigarette butts. He's lost track of how long he's been sitting there. Lance, I'd long anticipated that someone like him would be popular with girls. I just didn't expect him to be this popular, within just a few days of starting work. All the single young women in the office had secretly inquired about him, and a few bold ones even went straight to ask for his contact information. Lance would flash his signature smile and decline every time. As time passed, everyone else gave up except for one exceptionally pretty girl in the same office, who remained persistently determined. I heard her uncle is the manager of the logistics department, and her family is quite well off. She probably hasn't been rejected much growing up. So the more she gets turned down, the more persistent she becomes. What's more, she's pretty and young, her spoiled behavior only comes across as endearing, and everyone in the office adores her. One day after work, it was raining. Just as I was packing up to leave, the girl named Ivy suddenly sidled up to Lance, looked up, and said, "Lance, my car was sent for maintenance yesterday, and it's hard to get a cab in the rain. Could you give me a ride home?" Lance glanced at me and said calmly, "Sorry, but I've already promised to leave with Martina." Ivy wasn't upset either. She walked up to me with a grin and said, "Martina, I remember your place is really close by. Why don't you just call your family to pick you up? I'm all alone here with no relatives or friends. Could you do me this favor, please?" Before I could refuse, she half-dragged Lance out with her. Lance didn't refuse her. The two made a handsome pair, both young and attractive, their retreating figures looking quite well-matched indeed. I stood frozen, watching Lance walk out the door with her without so much as a backward glance at me. The rain was getting heavier, though it was only 6 in the afternoon. The light had grown dim, with vast swathes of heavy grey spreading from the horizon. Bean-sized raindrops pelted densely against the glass, then trickled down in countless winding streams. I lowered my head, suddenly feeling an indescribable suffocation. Honestly, he clearly said he'd go home with me, yet he ran off the moment someone called him. Men are all the same. After all, I couldn't help but smile bitterly. What was I feeling upset about? Hadn't I learned my lesson from past mistakes? How quickly I forgot the pain while remembering only the pleasure. With a sigh, I packed up my things and prepared to leave. Footsteps approached from the doorway. I looked up to see Lance leaning against the wall with an umbrella, raising an unhappy eyebrow at me. "You're really keeping your cool, Martina. If I hadn't come back on my own, would you really have let her take me away?" "You didn't leave?" I asked, somewhat surprised. "Of course not." He pouted. "I went to get an umbrella from the car. How could I possibly leave with her?" "What about Ivy?" "Sent her away, of course. I told her I have a girlfriend and asked her not to contact me anymore." "Do you really have the leisure to care about her?" Lance walked up to me displeased. "Another woman takes me away, and you don't feel anything at all." Everyone in the office had left, and the lights were off. The surroundings were dim, with only faint light seeping in through the windows. Lance's perpetually smiling face was now devoid of its usual mirth, his expression obscured in the shadows. He gripped my wrist with surprising force. I'd never seen Lance wear such an expression before, as if he'd torn off his gentle facade, revealing something far more predatory beneath. I opened my mouth, wanting to say we were colleagues, or that we were friends, but I quickly swallowed those self-deceiving words. "We're all adults here. There's no need for this kind of mutually understood ambiguity. I know I have feelings for Lance, but right now I can't even tell how deep these feelings really go. Can this even be called love? And I probably aren't ready to start a new relationship either." I pulled my hand back, retreating a step as I whispered, "Sorry, I might not be ready for a serious relationship yet. I'm sorry for wasting your time. I just want to ask you one thing. Do you like me or not?" In the dimness, Lance's eyes held an intensely bright gleam, relentlessly capturing my gaze. I remained silent for a long while before nodding. The grip on my wrist immediately loosened. Lance resumed his smiling expression and gently stroked my hair. "As long as you like it. I know you just broke up with that asshole and might not be mentally ready yet. No worries. As long as you like me, that's enough." I'm already prepared, I can wait. Just before the new year, a mutual college friend of mine and Kelsey got married. He didn't know we had already broken up and seated us at the same table. After so long, it was the first time we sat together again. Kelsey set out my bowls and plates for me, poured water, and put peeled shrimp in my bowl, just like before, just like when we were still together. I was startled. I really enjoy eating shrimp, but I'm always too lazy to peel them. Kelsey would always laugh and scold me for being lazy when she noticed, then peel them for me. I held my chopsticks, then after a long pause whispered, "Thank you, but no need." Kelsey paused mid-motion, her smile unchanged. "Sorry about calling you last time and bothering you. I was drunk and talking nonsense. How have you been lately?" He spoke so naturally, as if the breakup hadn't affected him at all. "It's pretty good." Kelsey probably noticed I didn't want to talk. She kept looking after me throughout the meal but didn't say anything more, until a classmate came to toast, and the group got drunk. A newly acquainted friend at the table, unaware of my relationship with Kelsey, slurred to Kelsey, "Kelsey, why haven't you been picking up girls when we go out drinking lately? Last time, those two were drop-dead gorgeous, I couldn't take my eyes off them. But when they asked for your number, you didn't even respond." Suddenly playing the chaste one now, Kelsey just smiled without a word. "Kelsey, what kind of person are you really into? Tell us and we'll help you figure it out. Maybe we can even introduce you to someone." Seeing Kelsey remain silent, they turned to me instead. "You're the groom's old classmate, right? Beautiful lady. Are you seeing anyone? What do you think of our Kelsey? How about you two get to know each other?" Kelsey smiled and came to my rescue. "This is my childhood friend." Cut the bullshit. The table of young people, all tipsy by now, started making a ruckus, insisting on setting me up on a date. Friends who knew about our relationship were all sneaking glances at Kelsey's expression. After all, we'd been together for 3 years. And now barely after breaking up, they were trying to set me up right in front of him. They were afraid he might take it badly. However, Kelsey didn't seem the least bit jealous, just curling her lips at me while joining in their teasing. "Yeah, Martina, what kind of person are you looking for? Tell me and I'll rummage around, might just have someone suitable right by my side." I looked at him, and he waved his hand with a grin. "Why are you looking at me like that? You didn't think I'd get jealous, did you? Bro's not that petty. We agreed back then to stay friends after breaking up. I can't rest easy with you living alone like this, gotta find someone to take care of you." Looking at Kelsey's carefree expression, I suddenly couldn't describe the strange feeling in my heart. So he really didn't like me after all. These 3 years together meant absolutely nothing to him. Just then, my phone suddenly rang. It's a message from Lance. "I'm on a business trip to headquarters. Have you finished the wedding banquet? I can give you a ride back if it's on my way." Kelsey's gaze lingered subtly on my phone. I looked up and smiled. "No need, I already have a boyfriend." Kelsey froze with her wine glass suspended mid-air, her expression momentarily blank. "You," he seemed about to say something when I stood up and grabbed my bag. "My boyfriend's here to pick me up. I should go." Kelsey sent me several messages that night. "So you really have a boyfriend now? Bring him out to meet me, I'll help you vet him properly." "Who's your boyfriend? That in turn who used to chase after you?" "Speak, Martina. You're lying, aren't you? We just broke up a few days ago. How could you possibly be in a new relationship this fast?" "You're lying, aren't you, Martina?" I didn't reply to any of them. With the Lunar New Year approaching, I had to start helping my mom prepare the holiday goods. Stuff kept piling up as it was brought home. And I frowned. "Mom, can you really finish all this food you bought?" My mom shot me a glare. "Lance said he's coming to pay a New Year's visit. What are we supposed to serve him if we don't stock up enough?" I couldn't help but laugh and cry at the same time. They were just being polite, and you actually took it seriously. I never expected Lance to actually show up, let alone bump right into Kelsey. Kelsey, her eyes brimmed with overwhelming emotion as she clenched her teeth fiercely. "Are you fucking serious? You're really with him? None of your business." I sneered at Kelsey. "Didn't you say we could still be friends after breaking up? That I should bring my new boyfriend for your approval? What do you think of him?" Kelsey's dark eyes locked onto me. Suddenly, she grabbed the back of my neck, her shadow instantly enveloping me completely as the scent of mint and tobacco pressed down. It was a long-awaited kiss, yet unlike the tenderness of the past, it felt purely like an outlet for violent emotions. Soon, my lips began to sting, and a faint metallic taste of blood seeped between them. I pushed hard against Kelsey, but he held me tightly. Only then did I realize he was also a tall man of 188 centimeters when he was truly serious. I didn't even have the strength to break free. Just as I was nearly suffocating, the door suddenly knocked. Lance called out, "Martina, your mother wants to know if you'd prefer celery and pork or shrimp dumplings for dinner." I took advantage of Kelsey's distraction to shove him away and yank the door open violently. Lance stood silhouetted against the light as I gasped for breath. Instinctively grabbing his arm, he froze momentarily, his expression turning icy when he saw my swollen, bruised lips before pulling me sharply behind him. Kelsey's outstretched hand halted mid-reach for me. He stared fixedly at me, hidden behind Lance for a long time, then suddenly smiled, yet the smile was undeniably chilling. He reached out and tapped me once. "Martina, this isn't over." That night as I lay in bed, a faint rustling sound suddenly came from outside the window. Startled, I turned my head to see the window being pushed open from outside. Kelsey vaulted in deftly with her hands on the windowsill. Since childhood, Kelsey had loved jumping through my window. Back in high school, whenever she got in trouble and was beaten, she'd come running to my place every other day. It's just that after starting college, she never climbed through my window again. I didn't know what to say for a moment, just staring at him blankly. A light rain was falling outside. Kelsey's t-shirt clung to his body, faintly revealing his well-defined muscles. "Kelsey, what are you doing here?" I frowned instinctively. Without any hesitation, he sat down on my bed, wiped his face, and after a brief pause said, "Martina, let's make up." I looked at Kelsey, never expecting him to blurt out such words. He turned his head away. "I know I was too wild before. I did many things that hurt you. I can change. I'll keep my distance from those women from now on. I'll make up for my past mistakes, okay?" Kelsey's sudden change in attitude left me puzzled. But I knew I genuinely didn't want to reconcile with him. Perhaps I still have feelings for him after all. I've liked him for over a decade, and such emotions can't be abandoned so easily. It's just that being with him was too painful. That kind of pain made me instinctively want to stay away. I glanced at the bathroom and softly declined. "I already have a boyfriend." Kelsey sneered. "I know there's nothing between you two, right? We just broke up a few months ago. How could you possibly have a boyfriend so soon? Martina, how many years have you liked me? And how long have you known him?" He held my hand. "You hired him to make me jealous, didn't you? Little Tiger bot doc anti-piracy watermark. For bookfinding bots choose Little Tiger. Stable reliable heavy checkmark # no pitfalls. You've succeeded. I really can't fucking take it anymore. Let's get back together. I promise I'll never do it again. I'll just stay with you and live a good life, okay?" His voice abruptly stopped as he looked toward the bathroom door, where Lance stood wrapped only in a towel. Lance wore a friendly smile. Did I come out at a bad time? I turned my head away, not daring to see how ugly Kelsey's expression had become. Lance kept playing the sympathy card after dinner, telling my mom how unfamiliar he was with this place, having no relatives or friends here, and how lonely and empty he felt going home alone. My mom couldn't bear hearing such things and immediately decided to let him stay at our house. Of course it was the guest room, but the shower there was broken, so he borrowed my bathroom to take a shower. But I didn't expose him. I just hoped Kelsey would leave soon. Kelsey darkened her eyes. "What were you doing in her room?" Lance raised an eyebrow. "What do you think I'd be doing in my girlfriend's room?" Though I should be the one asking, what were you trying to do barging into your ex-girlfriend's room in the middle of the night when she already has a boyfriend? Kelsey's face darkened as if water could drip from it. The two men standing face to face in a moment of tense confrontation. "You get out," he finally said, suppressing his anger. "I have something to say to Martina." Lance wasn't annoyed either, just looking at me with an ambiguous smile. "The one who should leave is you. Martina and I still have things to do." He emphasized the word doing. Kelsey flared with anger, saying coldly, "You fucking looking to die?" Lance didn't back down an inch, meeting his gaze with a mocking tone. "You're still not leaving. Don't tell me you're planning to stay for a threesome with us." I silently cursed. But by the time I tried to step forward and pull them apart, I couldn't even tell who threw the first punch. Kelsey's elbow slammed hard into Lance's stomach, while Lance's fist smashed squarely into Kelsey's jaw. Two nearly 6'3" men brawling together. My bedroom instantly became collateral damage. The table was kicked over, the lamp and water cup crashing to the floor in a cacophony of shattering glass. The two men exchanged furious blows, each strike landing as if determined to beat the other to death on the spot. Blood soon splattered across the scene. I was nearly hysterical until my mother, hearing the commotion, burst through the door in a panic, her face twisted in shock and rage as she shouted, "What the hell are you doing?" Half an hour later, Kelsey's parents arrived and sat on the sofa in the living room. I also finished telling them about what happened between us. As I spoke, Kelsey's mother's face grew increasingly grim, until she looked like she was about to faint. The moment I stopped speaking, she suddenly stood up, rushed to Kelsey, and slapped him across the face, with a heavy thud. No mercy shown. Kelsey was struck so hard his head snapped to the side. After a long moment, he pressed his tongue against his swollen cheek, then used his thumb to wipe the blood from the corner of his mouth. How could I have given birth to such a beast? Kelsey's mother shouted with a trembling voice. "You've known Martina for how many years?" And this is how you treat her. Has your conscience been eaten by dogs? She's with you because she loves you, and you hurt her like this, cheating on her again and again. Now that she's had enough and broke up with you, you come back to pester her, beating up her boyfriend. Kelsey, you've really outdone yourself, you bastard. My mother sighed and said nothing. Kelsey curled his lips. Yes, I'm just a beast. I admit I hurt Martina, I cheated on her, and I broke up with her. But what if I regret it now? Mom, tell me what to do. Goddamn, I regret it. You'll just have to live with that regret. Kelsey's mother shouted even louder. Where was your regret when you were cheating? What good is your remorse now that the damage is done? You made me lose all face. Martina grew up right before our eyes. We could have accepted you liking her and treating her well. But to make her suffer like this, you're worse than an animal. She raised her hand to strike again. Kelsey didn't even dodge, laughing bitterly as he shouted. I'm a fucking beast. I'm worse than a pig or a dog. I cheated and still regret it. You should hit me. I fucking want to hit myself too. But what the hell can I do? I fucking can't let go. I can't take it. His voice trembled, his eyes gradually reddening. I was stunned. In all my years, I've never seen Kelsey cry. Back when he got into fights at school and came home to be punished, Kelsey's father, being a military man, always believed spare the rod and spoil the child. At the worst of it, he broke 2 fingers thick sticks while beating Kelsey, yet Kelsey never shed a tear. Even Kelsey's mother froze, her hand trembling in mid-air for what felt like an eternity before she could lower it. Give me another chance, please. Kelsey walked up to me, his voice barely suppressing its tremor. Martina, I'm begging you. I looked up at him quietly for a long time. Of course you can turn back. But Kelsey, I said softly, no one will wait for you in the same place forever. Perhaps when love fails, career prospers. My new project performed exceptionally well after its completion, and as a reward, the company offered a cruise trip where I could bring one family member. Lance somehow found out about this and stubbornly insisted on going with me. Since it was for family members, the company only provided 1 room, but both Lance and I tacitly avoided mentioning this matter that evening. After finishing our drinks at the cruise ship's bar and playing in the pool for a while, we returned to our cabin. I ducked into the bathroom to change, only to discover my bikini straps had tangled with my hair. The more I panicked, the more impossible it became to untangle. With no other choice, I peeked out from the bathroom and cautiously asked Lance for help. The bathroom wasn't spacious, though it didn't feel cramped with both Lance and me inside. It was certainly cozy. As he leaned close to carefully work on the bikini straps at my back, I could feel his warm breath brushing against my neck, sending an involuntary shiver down my spine. A light chuckle came from behind, the breath growing heavier. You're getting goosebumps. My face flushed as I gritted my teeth and said, Are you done yet? Almost there. Just be patient a little longer. I don't know how much time had passed. Just when I started feeling sweat forming on my back, Lance finally spoke. Enough. I thought he would leave. Instinctively I turned around, but he hadn't moved an inch. Under the dim light, we stood there face to face, pressed close together, neither knowing how much time had slipped by, until he suddenly lowered his head and kissed me, the intensity of it nearly stealing my breath. Yet I still wrapped my arms around his neck, meeting him as best I could. Outside the window, the sound of waves breaking against the ship echoed, but in the pitch-black darkness, nothing was visible. That night Lance carried me to bed, and I kissed him first. The wild night was utterly chaotic, and by the end, my consciousness had nearly blurred, sweat dripping into my eyes, stinging with a dull ache. In the haze, all I could see were Lance's eyes, glistening with moisture and brimming with desire. The next morning I woke up briefly, ate something hastily, and drifted back into a drowsy sleep. When I awoke again, it was already dusk. The space beside me was empty. Lance had disappeared somewhere. I dressed and walked alone onto the deck, where a crowd had gathered not far away to watch the sunset. The distant sunset resembled molten lava pouring into the sea, boiling and churning out a sky full of brilliant orange gold, so beautiful it seemed almost unreal. I walked to the bow of the ship. After standing there for a while, a warm coat was draped over my shoulders. I turned sideways. Lance had somehow appeared beside me without notice. He took my hand and pulled out a blue velvet box from his pocket. I don't know if this is the right time to propose, but I just can't hold it in any longer. The evening glow draped over him, and I'd never seen such tender expression on anyone's face before. Martina, will you marry me? I hardly had to lift a finger for Lance and my engagement banquet. He and my mom took care of everything. During this time, Lance and I actually had an argument when I discovered he was the one who approved my leave request, and his job title read, General Manager. No wonder my leave got approved within 10 minutes of submitting it that morning. Fuming with anger, I went to find Lance and demanded an explanation. He cautiously apologized and told me the company was his family's business. His father wanted him to take over, but he had to start from the bottom first. I was going to tell you back then. But I just stolen a bite of your cake and felt too embarrassed to bring it up. I have my pride too, and when you kept ranting right in front of me about how all the bosses were idiots forcing overtime every day, I got even more scared to say anything. Later I wanted to tell you gradually, but the timing never felt right. Other than this, I've never hidden anything from you, please forgive me. The day before the engagement, I was still a bit nervous. Just as I was trying on the dress for the last time, the window suddenly rattled. I turned around. Kelsey was staring at me through the window, his fingers pressed against the glass. The early spring night was still chilly, and he was dressed lightly, his face pale. I sighed and opened the window to let him in. The room was a mess with shoes and clothes I planned to wear tomorrow scattered everywhere. He stood amidst the chaos, looking somewhat lost and uneasy. After a while, he murmured softly, "Are you preparing for tomorrow's engagement?" "Yeah," I nodded. His fingers lightly brushed over the dress. "It's beautiful." Then he forced a bitter smile. "I just always thought you'd wear it for me." His voice trembled, his back slightly hunched as if tormented by some imagined scene. "I know it might be shameless to say this now," Kelsey rasped, "but Martina, I truly can't live without you. We've been together for so many years, spent nearly half our lives together. These days without you, he said blankly, I feel like half of my body has been torn away by you. My life suddenly seems incomplete." He looked so heartbroken, his eyes red as he grabbed me, pleading, "Don't get engaged to him, okay? Have pity on me. Give me one more chance. I promise I won't make you sad again." He pulled out his phone and tried to shove it into my hands. "I've deleted all the women. I promise I'll never contact any of them again. From now on, you can turn on location tracking on my phone, check it anytime you want." After just a few days apart, Kelsey seemed to have lost a lot of weight. The clothes that used to fit him now hung loosely on his frame. The white shirt billowed in the wind, still smudged with dust from climbing through the window, making him look utterly disheveled. He had always been so confident and spirited. When had he ever looked this pitiful? In the past, my heart would have softened immediately, but this time I just slowly pushed his phone away. "No need." I looked up at him and said seriously, "Kelsey, I believe you might be sincere at this moment, that you would truly change, but to me, it no longer matters. I no longer need you to change." I curled the corner of my lips. "I've already started a new life. You should move on too." Kelsey stared at me for a long time, her lips trembling as a teardrop fell to the ground. He sobbed like an abandoned stray dog, clutching me desperately. "But how can you expect me to move on, Martina? I can't live without you." I patted his hand and whispered softly, "I used to think the same way, but that's not true, Kelsey. There's no one in this world who can't live without someone else." After much discussion with Lance, we finally decided to hold our wedding in Bali. He originally wanted to go to Italy, but it seemed too troublesome for relatives and friends to travel that far, so we compromised in the end. The tropical island was lush with sprawling green vegetation everywhere, the sky so blue it looked freshly washed, the humid heat evaporating all worries. The wedding was nearly perfect. Both Lance and I were delighted, and all the relatives and friends who came had a wonderful time. Lance hired numerous photographers, insisting on capturing every angle of this once-in-a-lifetime wedding. On the wedding night, I received a video recording of the ceremony from a friend. "Your wedding was truly beautiful. Which company did you hire? I'll definitely go with them too in the future. Oh, by the way, do you know this person?" She took a screenshot, circled someone, and sent it to me. I was stunned. In the crowd, Kelsey stood far in the shadows, dressed in a black suit. Although Kelsey insisted I must invite him to the wedding, I thought it over and decided not to. I was afraid something awkward might happen again. "I never thought he'd actually come. He's been staring at you the whole time." My friend sent over a bunch of videos and screenshots. "His eyes haven't left you for a second. Who is he? An ex-boyfriend? He's so handsome. Please teach me your secrets. How do all your exes and current partners end up being this good-looking?" I scrolled through those videos and pictures, every second, every moment. His gaze rests upon me, heavy and profound, wanting to look, yet pained when he does, only sinking deeper in this endless tug-of-war. Once, that was how I looked at him, amidst the lively, cheerful crowd. He seemed to carve out a vacuum all his own, standing apart from everyone around. In the past, I could always spot Kelsey in a crowd at first glance, but this time, I didn't even know when he arrived or when he left. A text message suddenly came through. "Happy wedding, Martina. I think I've always owed you an apology. I once thought I had you figured out, taking pride in your unshakable love for me. But now I realize I was just a despicable fool who didn't understand the preciousness of feelings, thinking I could play with them at will. I didn't understand the value of love. I thought I had grasped it, But in truth I knew nothing of what love really was back then, shamefully using the love you gave me to hurt you again and again. Looking back now, every time we argued and you tearfully conceded out of grievance, it was actually consuming your love for me. But I didn't realize that love was a power you bestowed upon me. When you granted it to me, I became the ruler of your world. Yet when you took it back, I finally understood I was nothing at all. I finally understand, the one who can't let go is actually me. I don't deserve such beautiful love, so I lost it, and the price I paid is something even I can't accept. It's just too late now. I only realized how important you were to me when I lost you, but it was already too late. You once said no one would stay in the same place waiting for another forever. So this time let me be the one waiting for you. If he treats you poorly, just turn around, I'll always be here. The sunlight outside the window must have been too harsh. I closed my eyes for a moment, feeling them sting with unshed tears. After adjusting to the light, I tapped the screen lightly with my finger, deleted the text message, and stood up. Sunlight bathed my entire body, and the shadows had already been left behind me. I will never look back again.